Welcome to another episode, everyone. What caused the 60-plus year beef between the Nortenos and the Surenos, where a murder took place in prison over a pair of shoes? And it's been on ever since. Let's get into it.
California, late 1960s. Inside Duell Vocational Institution in Tracy, a pair of shoes goes missing. A small thing, sneakers. But in the concrete world of California prisons, respect isn't optional, it's survival. A Chicano inmate from Northern California wants his shoes back. The thief? A Southern California gangster. Connected, protected by La M, the Mexican mafia. The Norteno demands what's his. He's mocked, laughed at, called a farmer, to nobody. Then he's killed in the yard. 1968, Tracy, they'll call it the Shoe War. Out of that blood, a new brotherhood forms. A handful of Northern California inmates who refuse to bow to the Southern Empire. They call themselves La Familia. Later, inside Soledad Prison, the name evolves. Nuestra Familia, our family. We didn't want power. We just wanted respect. That's from an FBI transcript, 70s, a former member, identity redacted. This is how the longest war in California prison history begins, with a pair of shoes, a body on the concrete, and a vow of vengeance that will echo through 55 years. By the time it's over, hundreds will die. Generals will command from solitary confinement. The FBI will dance with devils wearing wires, and a flag, blood red, will fly from Salinas to Stockton, marking territory, demanding loyalty, splitting California down the middle. This is the story of the underdogs who became an empire. This is Nuestra Familia.
And of course, they're in prison. This is how things get started. This is how wars get started. You may say over a pair of shoes. Many people have lost their lives, hundreds of people over the decades with this war. And it started over something that many may consider minute. However, they're in prison. Nothing is trivial and minute when it comes to respect. And something can and will kick off over something as small as a pair of shoes. Now, here we have a situation where they were not even a gang at the time. So it's not like they went to war, the gangs went to war. They ended up forming a gang over this situation, according to this. This is how Nuestra Familia was born.
Familia, the family that refused to kneel. By 1968, California's prison system is a war zone. But the battle lines aren't drawn by the state. They're drawn by geography, by pride, by which side of Bakersfield you're from. Los Angeles versus Salinas, San Diego versus Stockton, urban power versus rural grit. The South has La M, the Mexican mafia, born in the late 50s inside Duell, organized, violent, ruthless. They control the drugs, the gambling, the protection rackets. They tax inmates, they issue orders. They call themselves La Raza del Sur, the race of the South, and they look at Northern California inmates like dirt, farmers, hicks, nobodies. The humiliation is constant. Beatings in the showers, forced labor, cleaning up after Southern shot callers. Northern Chicanos are second-class citizens in their own yards. Until a small group decides they're done kneeling. September 1967, Duell Vocational Institution. 4 men sit in a cell and make a desperate secret pact. Harold Morgan, Robert Joseph Gonzalez, Bobby Joe Barkley, Freddie Gonzalez. They form a circle, a nascent alliance they quietly call La Familia. It was a fragile vow of protection, not yet a unified movement. 1 year later, with the blood of the shoe war fresh on the concrete, that alliance was finally forged into steel. Inside Soledad Correctional Training Facility, the movement spreads. New members join. The name evolves. Nuestra Familia, our family. They draft rules, no paper trail, everything's memorized. Honor above all, loyalty unto death, brotherhood over blood. It's not about money yet, it's about standing up. We were tired of being treated like,
which is how most gangs start and how most gangs started, including black gangs everywhere, to protect themselves, to protect the community, etc. But then it turns into an enterprise. It turns into business. It turns into money. And when money comes into the gang, it comes into play via drugs or what have you, then all hell tends to break loose. Fractures happen within a community. Jealousy takes place. Envy takes place. And violence becomes normal in that environment.
like dogs, one founding member would later tell investigators. So we became wolves. The structure is simple at first. No ranks, no hierarchy, just mutual protection. But as the violence escalates, so does the organization. They adopt a symbol, a sombrero over crossed machetes. They choose a color, red, for blood and sacrifice. They assign a number, 14, for the 14th letter of the alphabet, N, Norteno, and the South responds in kind, blue for the Sureños, 13 for M, Mexican Mafia. California's prisons split down the middle. Every tattoo is a statement. Every color is a flag. Every inmate must choose, north or south. Neutrality is suicide. The shoe war becomes a wildfire. Soledad, Folsom, San Quentin, Tracy, Chinos. Wherever Norteños and Sureños cross paths, blood follows. Shanks made from bed frames, razors melted into toothbrushes, socks filled with batteries. In 1971 alone, Soledad records dozens of stabbings. Half are fatal. Guards stop intervening. They just lock down the yards and count the bodies. One correctional officer, interviewed years later, remembers it like this. You'd hear the alarm, you'd run to the yard, and you'd already know someone's not getting up. But Nuestra Familia isn't just defending anymore. They're expanding. The family begins recruiting on the streets. Young Chicanos from Salinas, San Jose, Fresno, Modesto, kids who grew up hearing stories about the Norteños who stood tall inside, who fought back, who refused to submit. They adopted the name on the outside, Norteños, soldiers of the North. They wear red bandanas. They tag 14 on walls. They defend their neighborhoods against Sureno incursions with fists, bats, and bullets. What started as a prison alliance becomes a street army, and back inside, Nuestra Familia evolves. They study military structure, chain of command, communication protocols, discipline. A general can order a hit with a single phrase. A soldier can earn his rank with a single kill. By the mid-70s, the FBI estimates Nuestra Familia controls drug trafficking in half of Northern California's prisons. Heroin, cocaine.
And that's how, again, it starts off with the defense, the self-protection, protecting your people, your community, and your loved ones. And then the gangs eventually, oftentimes, evolve into an enterprise, a money-making enterprise, which indeed brings along with it conflict in a number of days before it all crumbles down.
Marijuana, everything flows through them, but they still frame it as protection, as resistance. We're not gangsters, one lieutenant writes in a secret letter. We're revolutionaries. The rhetoric is powerful, intoxicating. It turns convicts into soldiers, violence into honor, murder into duty. And as the bodies pile up, so does the legend. Nuestra Familia, the family born from humiliation, forged in blood, and spreading like fire through the California correctional system. The underdogs have become an empire, and the war has only just begun. Soledad, early 1970s. Inside the cells, something remarkable is happening. What began as a survival pact is becoming a government. Nuestra Familia isn't just a gang anymore. It's an institution. And like any institution, it needs laws. They write a constitution, 10 pages, handwritten, passed cell to cell, memorized line by line. The FBI will seize a copy during raids in '76. What they find shocks them. This isn't street gang scribbling. This is military doctrine. Article 1, obedience to the family is absolute. Article 2, all profits belong to the organization. Article 3, betrayal is punishable by death. No exceptions, no appeals. The structure is rigid. General at the top, ultimate authority. Below him, captains, regional commanders, then lieutenants, enforcers, and coordinators, then soldiers, the warriors. At the bottom, associates, prospects earning their place. Every rank has responsibilities. Every responsibility has consequences. A general can authorize executions with a nod. A captain controls entire prison yards. A lieutenant delivers orders through coded messages. A soldier proves loyalty with violence. To move up, you spill blood. To stay alive, you follow orders. It was more organized than the prison itself, a former Soledad guard later testified. They had better communication.
Yeah, and a lot of these gangs and these prison gangs and gangs that started off as prison gangs but ended up filtering into the street are very structured and organized. And the Nortenos are known, at least in my estimation, for being very structured and organized. Very.
Better discipline, better intelligence than we did. The family develops its own language, code words for drugs, books for heroin, papers for cocaine, code words for violence. Taking care of a business means murder. Cleaning house means purging suspected informants. They use kites, small folded notes passed hand to hand, cell to cell, yard to yard. Messages travel faster than official mail. When kites aren't enough, they use visitors, mothers, wives, girlfriends, sometimes knowing, sometimes not, carry coded letters in and out, love notes that read like poetry but contain kill orders. I miss you so much, baby. Remember that thing we talked about? It's time. Tell Cousin Tony to handle it. Cousin Tony isn't family. He's a target, and the infrastructure grows. By the late 70s, Nuestra Familia operated like a corporation. They taxed their own members. A percentage of every drug deal, every extortion payment, every hustle flows back to the generals. They call it La Causa, the cause, the tax that funds the organization. Lawyers, bits and pieces, weapons smuggled inside, hits on the streets. Refuse to pay? You're no good. Marked for death. The enforcers are efficient. In 1978, a Norteno in San Quentin skims money from a heroin deal. He thinks he's safe. He's connected, been down for years. 3 days later, he's attacked fatally in the chow hall. 17 inmates walk past. None see anything. Snitches get stitches, the saying goes. But in Nuestra Familia...
And indeed, that's how it is in prison. You can witness a brutal murder, a brutal act, and you must keep going, keep walking as if you have seen nothing. You may be traumatized, but you continue on with your day because it's none of your business. That may seem harsh to individuals who have never been to prison, that you should stop and help someone in medical need. But the rules of society do not apply in prison whatsoever. When someone is being attacked and even murdered, you mind your business and go on with your day, or you'll be next.
Thieves just get serious. The violence isn't random, it's calculated. Every hit is approved by the chain of command. Every target is voted on. The family keeps records, lists of enemies, lists of debts, lists of infractions. They call it the bad news list. Get on the list and you're marked for retaliation. You just don't know when, but the reach extends beyond the wire. On the streets, the Norteños are growing. Salinas, San Jose, Stockton, Modesto, Fresno, every city has sets, neighborhoods flying the red flag. The prison generals control them all. They issue orders through intermediaries, regiments on the street led by regimental commanders. These commanders report back to captains inside. The captains report to generals. The system works. Money flows in. Discipline flows out. By 1980, law enforcement estimates Nuestra Familia has over 500 documented members inside California prisons and thousands of Norteño street soldiers outside. They're no longer fighting for respect. They're fighting for territory, for profit, for power. And La M.A. notices. The Mexican Mafia strikes back. Watts, East LA, San Diego. Sureno sets expand north, testing boundaries. The war intensifies. Prison yards become kill zones. Folsom, Corcoran, Pelican Bay, when it opens in '89, is designed to separate the most violent gang members. But even there, under 23-hour lockdown in the security housing unit, the generals keep command. They use everything. Toilets as communication lines, yelling through plumbing, coded taps on walls, messages hidden in legal documents marked privileged attorney-client material. One technique becomes legendary: invisible ink made from urine. Write a letter in lemon juice or urine. It dries clear. The recipient heats it with a lighter or iron, and the message appears.
Yes, and people were using this, as we know, the individuals who made war on the DC blacks communicated that directive through similar, if not exact means. Urine on a piece of paper, scribbled it out, and then when the recipient receives it, you light it up and it'll show it. But when the letter is going out, you can't see it. It's invisible. But now, of course, this individual and others have exposed this. So, you got to come up with other ways now. It keeps evolving to communicate where the police cannot catch wind of your communications.
Guards find love letters. The FBI finds death warrants. They were more creative than any intelligence agency I've ever seen, one federal prosecutor says years later. These men had nothing but time, and they used every second of it. By the late 80s, Nuestra Familia is entrenched. Generals rule from Pelican Bay's SHU like kings in castles. Their word is law from Crescent City to Corcoran, but their greatest test is coming because the FBI is watching, and they're about to find a crack in the armor, a crack named Daniel Hernandez. They call him Lizard, and he's about to let the devil inside. By the late 1990s, Nuestra Familia is no longer just a prison gang. It's a criminal empire. What started as protection has become business. Methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, extortion, contract killings. The family controls Northern California's underworld from behind bars. The FBI describes them as a paramilitary criminal organization operating from inside California prisons. And for decades, they're untouchable. Until December 2000, a veteran NF commander named Daniel Lizard Hernandez is facing life on federal RICO charges. Racketeering, conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine, murder. He's 31 years old, been in the game since he was 16. Done time. He's earned his rank. He's a true believer until he's not. Hernandez reaches out to the FBI. He offers...
Everybody's a true believer until they're not. Get your ass in this hot water, and then you can't stand it. And you end up giving up everything and everybody. Apparently, clearly, this individual is about to have the whole organization infiltrated by the powers that be.
Them something they have never had before. Access from the inside. He'll wear a wire. He'll keep running operations. and he'll record everything. The Bureau agrees. They cut a deal, and for 7 months, Hernandez becomes the most dangerous man in Northern California. He's waiting for meetings. He collects taxes. He relays orders from generals locked in Pelican Bay's SHU to soldiers on the streets of Salinas, San Jose, Richmond. And every word is recorded. He captures conversations about drug shipments, about territory disputes, about murder contracts. He records a lieutenant ordering the execution of a suspected informant. He records a captain calculating heroin profits. He records a general calling from a prison phone, issuing coded commands through his girlfriend. Tell him the package is ready. Make sure it's delivered clean. The package isn't drugs, it's a body. The operation is called Black Widow, and it's massive. The FBI monitors 12 different NF regiments across 6 counties. They identify high-ranking generals, captains, lieutenants. They map the entire organization, who reports to whom, who controls what, who's authorized to kill. They watch as orders flow from Pelican Bay to the streets like water through a pipeline. But there's a problem. To maintain Hernandez's cover, the FBI lets him keep running operations. That means drugs keep moving, money keeps flowing.
And of course, these individuals are unsuspecting. This is a member of theirs in prison, but he's wearing a wire, having conversations about these individuals and their dastardly deeds. And he's recording it and reporting back to the authorities. And this is what goes on nowadays in gang culture. In fact, this has been happening for some time. We know that Sammy the Bull snitched decades ago. Nothing has ever been done about it. That's just the way these gangs are now. That's why it's not worth it to be in them and to risk your life for them. And then when it's all said and done, they're just going to turn on you.
And people keep dying. In 7 months, at least 2 murders are connected to NF activity, while Hernandez is working as an informant. When the case goes public, the backlash is immediate. Defense attorneys call it unconscionable. Civil rights groups call it illegal. The media calls it dancing with the devil. An FBI supervisor interviewed by ABC News in 2002 defends the decision. Working with criminal informants like him is dancing with the devil. But sometimes that's the only way to catch the devil. The devil dances well. May 2001, the hammer drops. Operation Black Widow results in 21 indictments under federal RICO statutes. High-ranking generals, veteran captains, street commanders, among them James Tibbs Morado, Gerald Cuete Rubalcaba, Cornelio Tristan. These men ran the family from Pelican Bay's Security Housing Unit, the SHU, 23-hour lockdown, no contact visits, maximum isolation, and yet they never stopped commanding. Prosecutors present evidence that stuns the courtroom, letters written in code. "I can't wait to see you, baby," means the hit is approved. "Tell mama I love her" means collect the tax. Messages written in urine, heated to reveal orders. Legal mail sent to fake law firms in San Francisco, rerouted to street soldiers. One letter, seized during a raid, reads, "You can cage a body, but you can't cage an idea." It's signed by a general, sent from the SHU, delivered to a regiment in Salinas. 3 days later, a rival gang member is shot and killed outside a taqueria. Trials went on for years. Some cooperate, some stay silent. Some, like Rubalcaba, flip, becoming informants themselves, adding to the government's case. But Nuestra Familia doesn't collapse. It adapts. 2010, Operation Knockout, Salinas and Watsonville, 37 arrests, another wave of indictments, more captains, more soldiers, more bodies added to the count. Law enforcement finds evidence of drug trafficking, extortion, witness intimidation. They find lists, the bad news list, with names, addresses, and offenses. One entry reads, "Owes $800, no good, green light, Green light means marked for elimination. And then Operation Red Reaper, Tulare County, 48 indictments. This time, the feds target the Norteno street gangs feeding the prison empire. They seize methamphetamine labs, assault rifles, handguns, thousands in cash marked for La Causa, the family tax. One defendant, a 23-year-old Norteno, is caught on a wiretap saying, "I don't care if I die for the family. That's what we do." He's sentenced to 15 years. Each operation bleeds the organization, but each time it survives because the structure holds, the Constitution endures, the code remains. Even when the generals are locked in ADX Florence, the federal supermax in Colorado, the most secure prison in America, they find ways to communicate through lawyers, through family members, through associates who memorize messages and relay them by phone.
And so clearly then, this will never stop. As far as them thwarting their communication ability, they're always going to find a way. When I say they, I mean everyone, every gang, every structure, every organization, to communicate and to have their players carry out the directive. There's always going to be a way, just like there's always going to be a way to make weapons in prison. They have confiscated everything that you would think would be capable of making a weapon in prison in hopes of decreasing the violence and making it so tough to make a weapon. And yet everyone still has one in prison. There's no getting around it. There's no getting away from it. There's no getting away from individuals being able to communicate and even run their gangs from behind the prison walls.
One federal prosecutor, reflecting on decades of cases, says this: "You can arrest a general, you can lock him in a concrete box for the rest of his life, but as long as he has a voice, he has power. And these men, they never stop talking." By 2020, the war is 52 years old. Hundreds are dead. Thousands are incarcerated. Entire neighborhoods are fractured by red and blue. And still, the family endures. Because for Nuestra Familia, loyalty isn't a choice, it's a blood oath, and blood doesn't wash away. August 2021, 53 years after the Shoe War, federal agents identify all 7 members of the Nuestra Familia General Council, the ruling body that controls the entire organization. These men are legends, ghosts. Some haven't seen daylight in decades. They command from the deepest holes in the California prison system: Pelican Bay, Corcoran, ADX Florence. And for years, they've been untouchable until now. The indictments come down like thunder: racketeering, murder, conspiracy to commit murder, drug trafficking, witness tampering. The names read like a history book of Northern California gang culture. David D.C. Cervantes, age 76, one of 3 generals with the power to authorize executions. He's been inside since 1973, 50 years locked up, and he's still issuing orders. James Conejo Perez, age 70, the general of prisons. He commands NF regiments inside every California correctional facility. From his cell in Pelican Bay, he controls hundreds of inmates across the state. Guillermo Capone Solorio, age 45, younger than the others, but just as ruthless. He rose through the ranks by enforcing discipline, violently. His specialty, hunting down dropouts, former members trying to leave the family. There's no retirement plan in Nuestra Familia. You leave in a body bag. George Puppet Franco, age 59, a veteran captain, convicted of orchestrating murders from Salinas to Fresno. One case involves a Norteno who refused to pay La Causa. Franco ordered the hit from his cell. The target was shot 14 times in front of his family. The message was clear: nobody walks away. By October 2024, all 7 are convicted. Life sentences, no word, no appeals left. And yet, even now, the family doesn't stop, because the infrastructure remains. The street regiments, The younger generation, the code passed down cell to cell, father to son, OG to youngster. Journalist Julia Reynolds spent over a decade documenting this world. She sat in prison visiting rooms.
So the indictment came down on the Nortenos a little while ago. We all recall this. Many of us do. So they were all convicted. But for some time, as this dude aforementioned, they could not do anything with these organizations or with the Nortenos or what have you, because the structure is so structured. It's hard to get anything on them. And these individuals are all locked up already, but we know that these people will bring indictments on people who are already locked up. They did it to Barry Mills and the others from the Aryan Brotherhood. So you have to be careful behind those walls, because even if you already have a life sentence, they can convict you of something and then give you the death penalty.
Read intercepted letters. She listened to FBI wiretaps. She interviewed dropouts, cops, prosecutors, family members. Her book, Blood in the Fields, and the PBS documentary, Nuestra Familia, Our Family, revealed something law enforcement couldn't: the human cost. She writes about mothers who lost sons to the gang war, about children growing up visiting their fathers in the SHU, about young men who joined for protection and stayed out of fear. One former Norteno tells her, "I wanted out, but leaving meant my family wasn't safe. So I stayed, and I did things I can't take back." Reynolds discovers that many Nortenos aren't killers by choice. They're trapped by geography, trapped by loyalty, trapped by a system that demands violence as proof of commitment. She interviews.
That's most of us. Most gang members are trapped, feeling like they cannot get out for various reasons. In many situations, in many cases, it is blood in and blood out. You call yourself leaving a gang, that can be the end of you. So individuals from every gang of every race really feels trapped inside of the gang culture.
A woman whose son was murdered for trying to drop out. He was 22, shot in the back of the head, left in a ditch outside Salinas. The mother says, "He told me he was done. He wanted to leave. I told him to run, just run, but they found him anyway." Because the family has eyes everywhere. Even in 2025, the red star of the Norteños still marks walls from San Jose to Modesto, 14 tags on freeway overpasses, red bandanas tied to chain link fences. To the public, they're criminals. To law enforcement, a persistent threat. To the communities caught in the crossfire, victims and perpetrators at once. But to the men inside, Nuestra Familia is something else. It's identity, it's belonging, it's the only family some of them have ever known. One letter, seized during Operation Black Widow, was written by a lifer in the SHU. He's been in solitary for 18 years. No human contact, no sunlight, just concrete and silence. He writes, "I have nothing left, no wife, no kids, no future, but I have the family, and that's enough." It's tragic, it's disturbing, and it's real, because Nuestra Familia was born from something primal: humiliation, disrespect, the feeling of being less than. In the late 60s, Northern California Chicanos were second-class citizens in their own prisons, beaten, taxed, mocked, and they said, no more. They built something to stand on, has structure, a code, a flag, but over time, that flag became stained with blood. The organization that started as protection became predation. The brotherhood that demanded loyalty demanded murder. The family that promised respect delivered terror. And now, 55 years later, the war continues. In 2023, Salinas records its highest homicide rate in a decade. Many of the victims are young men, teenagers, killed in Norteno Sureno disputes over territory that doesn't belong to them. They're fighting for blocks they don't own, colors they inherited, a war that started before they were born. One Salinas police detective, interviewed by Reynolds, says it plainly: These kids don't even know why they're fighting anymore. They just know red versus blue, north versus south, and they die for it. The generals grow old.
And the same can be said about most gangs, most gang members. They don't even know the history of the violence, of the war, of the opposition that they're fighting against, that they're killing. You know, if you ask a lot of Crips, how did Crips start? How did the war start with the Bloods? They might not be able to answer that question and vice versa. You ask some Hoovers, how did the war start with the 60s? Why did it start? Why did it start? How long ago did it start? They don't know. They just involved in it.
In supermax cells, the soldiers rotate through county jails and state prisons. The bodies pile up in city morgues, and the cycle repeats because Nuestra Familia isn't just a gang, it's a legacy, passed down generation to generation like a curse. You can convict the generals, you can dismantle the regiments, you can lock them all away forever, but as long as there are young men who feel powerless, disrespected, invisible, there will always be someone ready to offer them a family, even if that family demands everything, even if it costs them their lives. Today, the Red Star still burns, the 14 still stands, and somewhere in California, in a prison cell, in a county jail, in a neighborhood where hope is scarce and violence is survival, a young man is being offered a choice, red or blue, north or south, in or out. And the
Wow. Okay, there you have it. Informative for me. I did not really know the history of all of that. I of course knew that, how the war started, but I didn't know some of these details. They've had an ongoing war, has the North and the South, all of this time. Started in prison and then led to the street. Hell, the gang started in prison, as a lot of gangs. And then it led to the street, and now it's humongous. Perhaps one day they can come together as well. In fact, at least they're in prison. They had put down their differences and made an alliance recently. Not sure how that's going now, but that was indeed going on. Shout out to the Nortenos and the Surenos. And this is fascinating information. Stay safe and stay free, people.